Welcome, Medfield. Glad you're watching Medfield TV. I have a different guest this week. My guest to my left is Carol Mayer, who is the town clerk. She's been here for 23 years in that job and lived here long before that. And she's going to tell us what her job is as a town clerk. And her main job, of course, is elections, or one of her main jobs. She has many. So she's going to tell us all about what she's got going on. So Carol, tell us how you get to be a town clerk.
I was an assistant with Nancy Preston. And when she unfortunately passed away, I decided to run for the position, and I got elected. And that was in 1997, and I'm still town clerk today. And I just got reelected this year. My term ends in 2021.
So it's a 3-year term?
Yes, it is.
Just like most of the ones, I guess. And how do you like running the elections? Is it a problem or is it easy?
Well,
because now we have machines. In the old days, we had paper ballots.
The machines are a wonder, but preparing for an election sometimes can get hair-raising.
I bet it is. But right now they're having it at the center.
Yes, we have all our elections at the senior center. There is quite a bit involved in getting an election going, whether it's a small election or a large election, Anne.
Because the last one, the primary was small. I'd say relatively small. I went and voted.
No, I think the primary was pretty big.
But compared to November will be a lot bigger, right?
Oh, I think so.
I would think so too. I would think so too. So what's the difference in how you set up for a primary or the main election, say in November?
There is no difference, Anne. Everything is the same. I have to do the same for any and all elections.
Okay, see, about how many voters do you get on a primary usually? How many did we get this last one?
We had 2,221 voters for this primary, which I was very surprised because I went back and checked other primaries.
It seemed like a lot.
And it was a substantial difference.
And how many do you expect in November?
Well, we do have early voting, so I'm counting on it, probably 1,500 or more for early voting, and then probably another 3,000 at the polls.
Out of how many registered voters?
We have about 8,700
registered voters. My God. So where are the rest of them? Why don't they come?
Beats me in.
I remember both you and Nancy Preston used to mention it whenever somebody would call and complain something at town hall, and I'd call one of you and say, did Mr. Jones vote in their local election? And Nancy would say, no, he didn't. So I'd call back and say, that's the problem. If you don't go there and you don't vote, whether it's a town meeting or an election, you can't speak up. It's too late.
And it's so easy to vote now. They have voter registration online. You can check whether you are a registered voter online. So you can come into the town hall, you can go to the registry. I mean, it's out there, Anne.
And how about changing, how about if I'm an independent, what if I decided to go to one of the parties? How do I do that?
All it is come in and complete a form or mail in your request.
Oh, mail it, okay, you can do that too. Most of the groups in Medfield independent or what?
Yes.
I would think so. Because the advantage is at the primary, I can take whatever ballot I want, which is really good. And back in the old days when there were paper ballots, I was an independent also. So I could be partnered with either a Republican or a Democrat counting, where 2 Democrats weren't allowed to count together, 2 Republicans couldn't count together. Well, they have to be careful. You really have to be careful in things like that. Have you ever had any problem with somebody cheating on the ballots or the election?
No. Knock on wood, I have not, Anne. But I have had 3 instances where somebody did come in and vote under somebody else's name.
You're kidding me.
Nope. And then the real person came in later that day, and I had to ask that person for identification because, as you know, we don't ask for
Sure.
ID, and it was very embarrassing.
So you can't, there's no way to cancel that first vote because you don't know how he voted.
Exactly.
my
Obviously,
God.
the real person did get to vote.
Well, that's good, but so did the bad person.
Yes.
Oh, I never heard that. Wow. So that would be scary. That really surprises me that somebody would walk in.
That's why the town clerks are so afraid of same-day voter registration, Ann. What could stop you from voting in Medfield? You have a sister in Medway. You know her address.
Oh, my God.
You go in and register your name under that address, and then you have a cousin in another town.
Oh, that's sneaky.
So the town clerks are trying to fight that, but other states have done it, and it's worked out well.
Wow.
I hope it doesn't happen in my time.
I hope it doesn't happen either, but that person using a different name, that's very surprising. Well, what are the biggest issues that haunt you? What's the hardest, what are you looking forward to that's going to be the worst? What's that going wrong? All right.
People that are not registered to vote, and they come into the polls to vote, and they're not on the voter list, and they swear that they registered to vote, and they haven't.
Do they get angry?
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
they do. That's why we have police there, right?
Yes.
It's a good thing we have police there if they get angry. How often does that happen?
Every election.
How many?
At least 10 or more.
Cheapers.
So please, check your voter registration and see if you're registered. And if you're not, register to vote ma.com. Piece of cake.
That easy.
Yes.
It sounds easy. And I could change mine if I ever wanted to change. I'm never going to change. I love the independent
Yes.
feeling because that's the way I vote anyway.
Yes.
I may like somebody in one party and somebody in the other, and I like that freedom. I really do like it. 'Cause in the primary, I can do whatever I want. But what are the issues? How are you funded?
By the town.
Okay, and how much do you have?
It depends on elections, Ann. Payroll is my biggest expense. I have staffing for checkout and check-in. I have a police. I have to buy ballots if it's a town election. I have to code the machines. If I can get office support to cover my office, I pay for them. I have to pay for the gentleman to come in and set up and break down the polls.
Yeah.
So payroll is probably my biggest expense.
Anything unexpected there? Unexpected?
No. I have my cheat sheet, Ann.
Okay. And what does your cheat sheet say? What's the next thing you want to talk about?
In order to run an election, Ann, there were so many things involved that I couldn't remember them all. So that's why I have my little checkoff
Good
sheet
idea.
here.
Okay. So how are you doing? Did you mention some of them already?
No.
Okay, let's go.
If it's a town election, then I have to enter this information to the state. If it's a state election, it's already there.
Okay.
If it's a town election or otherwise, I have to type the warrant.
Oh, you do it. You do it yourself.
Yes, I do.
I didn't know that.
So for every election, I have to type the warrant. I have to make sure that my memory packs for the machines have been sent back and they're ready to code. I have to order police detail. I have to arrange for my staff to come in and set up the polls and then come in the day after to break them down. I have to run the voter list. I have to have registration deadline. Then a week later, I have to run the voter list and make sure they're all in the books. I have to post the ballots on the website when I get them.
Yeah.
We now have anybody that is out of the country and this has been going on for at least the past 3 years. If you're out of the country, you're entitled to an emailed ballot.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Lot involved in sending an email ballot. There's probably about 7 pages that have to be attached.
Oh, jeepers.
So each one has to be input individually. I have to send out the absentee ballots, which is a very involved process. I also have to prepare write-in sheets for any write-ins at the end of the night.
That's right.
I have to make sure that everything is status quo. So it's one thing after another, and I just check them off as I do each individual thing.
Wow. It's a good thing we only have 4 precincts. I guess some cities have a lot more than that.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I also have to test the voting equipment and make sure they're fine and ready to go.
Now, where do you have that experience? How do you know? If I ever had to check a piece of machinery, it would disappear. It would fall apart.
Well, when we got these new machines, they had a training.
Oh, that'd be a good idea.
So I do have help in doing that. And so far, my machines are old, Ann, and every city in town are getting all brand new ones. But you know what? They're not broken.
Don't
I'm
fix
not
it.
going to fix
I
them.
wouldn't either.
They're gloomy, they're heavy, but I'll tell you, they're pristine. I've never had a problem.
Do people like the early voting?
I think they do.
And what does that cost us?
This year, I have no funding for early voting.
Which means,
It's all on my shoulders,
so what do you do?
the best I can.
So would people be able to come to town hall and vote early with you?
Yes, but there's going to be lines, and I mean, there's just going to be me and another woman that's going to handle 16 books, Ann.
Oh, jeepers.
So I'm going to ask people to please be patient. I am looking for volunteers for early voting. It begins on October 22nd and runs to November 2nd. The hours are 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 1. I have maybe one person per day that will come in and help.
Wouldn't the absentee ballot be easier?
This takes the place of absentee.
I know, but then they wouldn't have to get in line. They can mail it in.
They do that anyway.
Oh, jeepers.
So it's a double whammy.
There's something good about going to vote, I think. When I first started voting as a kid, we went to a local gas station. That's where it was set up. But it was paper ballots, of course. But I felt I was part of government. I just felt so important. I was just a kid. I just felt so important to be able to vote and be able to stand up and say what I thought.
Some people just don't want to go to the polls, Ann. And absentee voting is easy. No questions asked.
I know. And they won't do it. Well, I still like the old-fashioned going, though. I think there's something very, very good about it, very healthy about it. You see other people there, and you see other people that care about what the issues are. But the November one should be very interesting, I think.
I think so too. I think it's going to be very busy. And like I said, I don't have the staffing for early voting, and I please ask the residents to be patient because I'm going to do the best I can.
And I know you helped me at the primary. As you know, I'm legally blind and my eyes get worse each time. And I had a lot of trouble with the ballot this last time, and you helped me. So what does somebody like me with bad eyes do?
They can either come to me, they can bring somebody to help them.
Regardless of age?
Exactly. That's not an issue. So there isn't any problem with that.
That's good, because you helped me. I couldn't find the last selection I wanted to vote for, and I couldn't find it. You did help me find it. And I did vote for that person. And that person won. See, now if it won one by one vote, I would have felt really good. But the person won by a lot more than one. They did. So you expect a pretty good turnout, though?
I do, Ann. I do.
And they'll still be at the center?
Yes, it will. And
the usual hours?
6 a.m. to 8 p.m. the best thing about the machines where you don't have to count ballots by hand is that I just press a button and I can post the results unofficial
Yeah.
right away.
And what makes it official then?
I have to make sure that there isn't any write-ins that need to be put in. And then with the emailed ballots, they can't go in the machine, so they have
That's
to be
right.
hand counted. So we have to increase our votes by how many return their ballots
Now,
by
how do-
email.
How does the machine handle write-ins?
They go into a separate slot in the machine.
Oh, so the machine,
So-
machine sees that?
Yes, so
Oh,
at the end of
that's
the
a pretty
night,
smart machine.
so at the end of the night, the tapes will tell me per precinct how many write-ins that they recorded. Now, let's say the tape said in precinct 1 there was 15 write-ins, but in actuality there could only be 5 because 5 of them are bogus.
Oh, okay. I remember back when I used to count the paper ballots. If there were a couple of candidates on that nobody liked, they might write in Mickey Mouse or, Edgar. It didn't matter. They just write anybody they thought was fun.
Or somebody will connect the line for a write-in and don't write anything in it.
Oh,
So if the tape says 15, in actuality there could be 5 for whatever reason.
jeez. What's the most crowded election you've had in your 23 years?
The most crowded?
Yeah.
Presidentials.
Which one?
All of them.
Oh, all of them. No difference between any of them?
Nope. Nope. We get almost 90% out to vote in a presidential election.
And where are the other 10?
I don't know, Ann.
Home watching football or whatever, maybe. Wow. They should feel guilty. I should think. They should think. All the presidents are really big. And some of the
Yes.
locals are big too, though, aren't they?
Only in a contested race.
Yeah. Yeah, because several times when I ran, I was contested. And it's kind of nerve-wracking. That keeps a lot of people from running in local elections, I think, and maybe for state and federal government. The idea of losing it's really be very, very difficult to deal with. But on a local level, if you lose, you still see the people in the supermarket or the church or walking down the street, you still see them and you're the loser. And I think it's very, very hard for people to lose. I do. And I admire them for running. Even if I don't vote for them, I think they're doing a good job just to try, just to speak up. So how do you think our current elected officials are doing?
I think they're doing a wonderful job, Ann.
Do you really? Good. And even Mike Sullivan?
I'm going to miss them.
I think the whole town's going to miss him. I think the whole town will miss him, no question about it. He's been one of the best things, I think. That was so lucky. It was so lucky. I met him because I was writing for the newspaper back then, 44 years ago. And back then, the selectmen could ask us to leave the meeting if they didn't want the newspaper there. So C.B. Dowd and I got up and started walking out when we were dismissed, and this nice, tall young man with brown hair opened the door, and he was coming in for his interview, and that was Mike. And he was very nice holding the door for us with our junk because we had cameras and everything. And C.B. said, I like that guy, I'd vote for him. And I said, I would too. It was a long time ago. That was kind of unfortunate a way that they could let us or tell us to leave a meeting. Now, of course, they can't. It's all done publicly. And all your work is public as well? Could anybody come into the town clerk's office and get information?
Yes,
Like what kind of stuff could I ask for?
everything, except a impounded birth record.
What is that?
That is if the parents weren't married at the time or there's no father listed on the birth. Those
Oh.
are not public records, but everything else in my office is basically a public record.
I didn't know they were not public records.
Nope, they're not even bound in the books.
So how does somebody with that record, how do they get?
The mother, if it doesn't have a father's name, the mother and the child can only get that record. If the father's name is on the birth certificate, only those three, the mother, the father, and the child.
Oh my heavens, I never knew that. I don't know anybody that's happened to, and that stays for all their life?
Yes.
And if it's a little girl and she gets...
Unless the mother decides to change the paternity, which I have not had so far.
Okay. Wow. That would be kind of interesting, isn't it? Never thought about anything like that. And adoptions are no different? Adoptions are fine, they're just standard?
Adoptions are fine.
Okay. Wow, and I'm sure you have a lot of those too. Did people really come in and check their records often?
No. No.
They don't.
I haven't had an issue with anybody requesting a record that it's not theirs. Sometimes somebody will request a birth record and they will ask me, is it okay if my mother comes and picks it up?
Okay.
Well, that's fine, as long as it's not an impounded record.
But I could go walk in and get anybody's birth record?
Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
Even though it's none of my business?
Correct.
I didn't know that.
And what's ironic, Anne, in the street list book, nobody under 16 can be listed in the street list
Yeah, I
book.
remember that. We stopped that a long time ago.
However, you can come in and get a birth record for anyone under 16.
I know, isn't that it's scary. I felt bad when we stopped publishing the kids' names in a list of residents, because it was a sign that there was a danger there for kids. And that Nancy Preston told me that's why they stopped, because if a predator was looking for a bunch of little kids, he could look on,
Exactly.
Sunshine Street, that's a great place. They have a lot of families there with little kids.
Well, I kind of got into a little scuffle when I first took over because I followed what Nancy did. And I was adamant that I don't think that birth records should be in the town report. For that reason.
Jeepers. But death records are, right?
Death and marriages are, yes.
And I have the right to go in and ask anybody's at all.
Correct. But now death records doesn't show the full Social Security either. So that's a plus,
Oh yeah, that is true. That is good. That's right.
unless you request it. It only shows the last 4 digits now.
Wow. You got a lot of
Because
stuff.
I think that was an issue with people wanting to apply for passports. They get a death record, and then they would go back and get a birth record.
Oh, they are sneaks. God, there are a lot of sneaks out there. Has that happened to you?
No.
No, good. There are no sneaks in Medfield so far,
Hope not, Ann.
except for the guy that voted with under a different name.
Correct.
But not too many sneaks. Oh God, that's kind of scary though. I just hate to think of people are that devious, I guess, would be the word. Wow. You'd have to really care a lot about an issue at a voting machine to use somebody else's name.
I know.
And how often has one vote made a difference?
Never.
Never? We've had a couple really close ones, I know.
It really doesn't make a difference.
We've never had an election won by one vote?
No. Not in my lifetime.
Not in your time, okay. Because I know over the years when I was writing for the paper, we had a couple very close ones, 2 votes, 3 votes. I'm going back a long time. And that seems, they always say voting makes a difference, and it should. But especially if there's only 2 or 3 votes difference, that's huge.
Well, when you do a recount, Ann, you don't check the books. You just count the ballots.
Oh, that's right.
So if one person came in under another person's name, how would we know?
Yeah, that's true.
I do call the Secretary of State's office and let them know that this has happened. And they just tell me to record it in my clerk's records.
Yeah.
Because how do I go and find that person when I don't know who it is?
Of course, there's no way you could. No way you could. Well, we don't have fingerprints on there even. By the time our fingers are on there and it goes through a machine a couple of times, probably wouldn't be much left in fingerprints anyway. But that would be crazy. Oh my God, so all these things.
So
you
I
never
don't think
about.
it's that bad. It happened to me 3 times in 23 years, and I hope before my terms end, it doesn't happen to me again, because it's embarrassing
Oh, it is.
when the real person does come
Oh,
in.
yeah, I'd be angry.
And I don't understand why the state does not approve ID in this day and age. A lot of people do come in with their license in their hand.
Yeah. Because there's some election we were asked to bring identification. I can't remember which one it was. And I had forgotten mine, and whoever was at my desk said, oh, no problem, they knew who I was. I was a selectman at the time, so I guess I was probably safe. But there was one election we were supposed to bring an ID. I don't remember why.
Not on elections, Ann.
Not on yours?
Nope.
It might have been on Nancy's then. Might have been on Nancy's. But I do remember having to bring an ID and then forgetting it and feeling so stupid going in. And thank God people knew who I was. But I can see that. I can see that as a good thing to do, to check. If you have more cheats going through. So you expect a good turnout this time.
I do, which makes the day go by quick, which is nice.
What time do you get to go home after an election day?
The primary, I didn't leave until 10:30.
Okay.
Primaries are late because we have to do the results for the Democrats, and then we have to go back, and we have to go back to the tapes, and now we have to do the Republicans, and then we had Libertarians, so we had to do those. Excuse me. And then after we get all that in, then we have to go through the write-in sheets and
Okay.
now adjust the figures to the
Sure.
correct number of write-ins. Then we have to take the email ballots.
Now who's the we that's doing all this?
My ward, Dorothy Freewald,
Okay.
she helps me.
Okay, and she's your number 2 person? in
Yep.
The elections? That's great. Great to have one.
If I'm busy, she's able to hop in and help anybody.
Because it's nice to see all the people at the different tables when you go to the election. You know, so many of us, so many know us people by name, you know, when you go up to your own precinct. It's good. It's very good, very healthy.
And then on state elections, I have to call the Associated Press before I leave the polls.
Really?
Yes.
That's a rule?
Well, it's not mandatory, but all the clerks do it because they give a check to the Town Clerks Association
Oh.
for the number of clerks that call in the results. So I'd rather do it before I go home,
I would too.
because once I go home, I just want to go to bed.
How about the federal election?
Same thing, we call into the Associated Press. That's how they get their figures out on the news,
And how late will that go?
until all the votes are counted and they get all the calls in.
Yeah, so you don't know what time you'll get home in November for the big election.
This one shouldn't be as late. It depends on how many email ballots I have. Absentees, obviously, are put in through the day. People have asked me on numerous occasions if absentees are only counted if the race is close.
Oh, really?
That is not true.
I wouldn't think so.
That is not true. I get the absentees, they are checked in the book, they are checked out of the book and put in the machines during the day.
Okay, good. That's good. No, I like to think that there's no fooling around there. I like to think the elections are pretty much straight. I hope so. I really hope so.
The only thing that does not go in the books is some of the email ballots.
So how do you,
Because we have 2 different kinds of voters for out of the country. We have voters that are registered here, which would be in the book, and we check them in and out. However, we can't put the ballot in, so we have to count that separate. And then we have what we call a specially qualified voter, which means that their last residence was the town of Medfield. They no longer live here. They're residing out of the country. They do not have to be registered.
oh, really?
So they are not in our check-in and check-out books.
Okay.
So our counts are then off on the machines because we've got these specially qualified people that are not registered voted that are entitled to vote.
When did machine voting become available? I'm trying to remember.
Nancy got the machines
Trying to
for
remember.
the presidential election in '97.
I was only that long.
And then when I got elected,
Only 20 years or so.
I decided no more paper counting ballots. We had the machines, they worked fine.
Yeah, so just 20 years. I'm trying to remember when they came, and I couldn't have remembered. I never would have guessed 20. God, that long ago. Well, it's a good invention, though. I like it. Very good invention. So what else do you have? What else would you like to tell us about your job?
There's not much to tell, Ann.
Well, your office is in Town Hall on the first floor.
Yes, it is, and I'm there every day, except for today. I took a vacation day. But I'm there every day.
The Town Hall staff is great. I really miss it. I used to be in Town Hall so often. I miss the staff.
But you know, Ann, when I do take some time off, I do go in if somebody needs something and I'm in town. I don't have a problem going in and helping somebody.
That's good. And no overtime pay then?
None.
I assume that. But you like your job, it sounds like.
Yes, I do.
And you're going to stay forever. Long as
Not forever, Ann. I'm getting up there in age.
You know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing a good job. I don't think age matters.
It's just that the state is piling on so much extra work for us clerks. And I don't have an assistant to help me out, so it all rests on my shoulders. And sometimes I get very frustrated and upset, but it is what it is.
That's true of a lot of jobs, though. I think most of the jobs I've had.
I think I'm the only one, other than the real small towns in the whole state of Mass, that does not have somebody else in the office. And we have 12,500 some odd residents and almost 9,000 voters. I mean,
Right.
that's a lot for one person.
It is. So what does it take to get you an assistant? Little town meeting action?
I've given up.
Oh, yeah. You're giving up. Because you were an assistant.
Yes.
What kind of money did you make as an assistant back then?
Not much.
I'm so-
Minimum wage.
Okay. And how many hours, were you full-time or part-time?
No, I was only working 20 hours a week.
Okay, half-time. So you're not going to ask for that, ask the warrant committee for that this year?
I have, but money is real tight in town, and I don't think I would get anybody.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. So many, and the schools are looking for so much. Makes it very hard for the others.
It's unfortunate, Ann, because when and if I do retire, the next person that comes in is not going to have a clue on how to run the office.
You're right.
And that has been an issue with me for years with Michael, and finally I gave up.
Yeah. But that makes a lot of sense. There wouldn't be anybody. That's why assistants are so great to have.
I mean, when Nancy passed away, I was her assistant. I went right into the job. Yes, I had a learning curve, but I knew probably 85% of the basic.
She was a really good lady.
Yes.
And very close friend of mine, as you know. Very close. We were EMTs together. And because she would leave Town Hall to go on an ambulance call. It was great. And she knew every street. Oh, my God. The one that almost got us was that little section on South Street that goes right off of Route 27. And if Nancy hadn't been my partner that day, I would never have found that address. Because the call was on a certain address on South Street. And I went down the old South Street near downtown. And I was going to take a right, a left, and then a right to go down to South Street Extension. And I found out there's another part of South Street before that, and I never knew that was in there. Without Nancy there, I never would have gotten to that ambulance call. Oh, she was a good friend, and she did a good job, and I hope you do a good job too. So you like your job,
I do.
and you like the town,
I do.
because you've been here, what, almost 40 years?
I have been, yes.
Okay, any of your kids live here?
No, my son lives in Taunton.
On Taunton, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And he's happy, and you're happy, and
He's very happy.
yeah, that's great. That's all you can ask in life is for your kids.
Exactly,
And that's the way I
exactly.
feel too. My kids, my grandkids, and now my great-grandkids, it's wonderful if they're good and happy. That's all you can ask.
So now I took the pleasure of taking a few days off, and now I won't have any time off until December.
Did you get Christmas off?
No, I won't. I probably won't be taking any extra days
Yeah.
because the November election, and then starts the census and the dogs for the new year.
Yeah, I remember the dogs.
So I get busy.
How many dog licenses?
We have close to 1,900 dogs in
Oh
town.
my God,
Ann.
almost 2,000?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, and that's only the ones I know about.
You're right, there are probably a lot more. There probably are. Oh, I didn't realize there were that many. Out of how many housing units in Medfield?
Oh, probably 4,700.
That's what I would think. Certainly over 4,000, I know. Oh, that's a lot of dogs. And probably almost as many cats too, if you think about it.
Oh, don't even talk to me about registering cats.
Now, some people don't
Some
like it.
towns do.
I know they do. I know
I don't
about
know
that.
how they keep track of them, though. Especially if they're indoor cats. I mean,
Yeah. Our cats always went in and out, which was great because we had woods in the back and they would count all the, they'd find all the mice in the backwoods. And then my neighbor had a wood pile. So my neighbor finally found a way to lure the cat in. So she put treats out periodically to get my cat to go over to her wood pile and clean out her wood pile for her. That was kind of fun. And the cat would come home victorious. It was fun, but cats can be good.
I have two myself, but they're indoor.
Yeah, okay, mine were always outdoors. But I like the dogs too, as you know. So you have a lot of animal people in town,
Yes,
a
I
lot
do.
of animal lovers. It's a good town for it. You have anything else you want to add about your job or about the town?
No, I don't. I'm going to put out one last plea. If anybody would like to volunteer for early voting, I would really appreciate your help. It starts October 22nd and runs to November 2nd, 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 1 on Friday. And even if you could give me 2 or 3 hours, that would be totally, totally appreciated.
Well, that would be great if they could get a few. Good job. Okay, well, let's hope it works. Let's hope it works. And you buy them a cup of coffee? Well, thank you, Carol.
Okay.
Okay, and everybody out there, thank you so much for watching Medfield TV. I hope you enjoyed listening to Carol Mayer, the town clerk, and listening to her experiences. And I hope you go vote, number one. And if you don't know what's going on, then don't vote. But generally, most of us know enough. I hope you vote and let your voice be heard. It's very important, and most of us like to do it. So thank you, Carol. I appreciate your comment very much.
Okay, Ann.
Thanks for watching Medfield TV.
Thank you.